Hey everybody, if you're a zoning nerd like me, you're going to be interested in some recent updates that have occurred in Michigan planning and zoning law as a result of some Supreme Court case that came down out of the Michigan Supreme Court. So first, a little background. I'm going to do this in two parts, so you're going to need to stay tuned for the really juicy stuff in the next video. But the first question that I have for y'all is whether or not you know what is conditional rezoning. This is a technique that a developer or property owner might use if they want to use their property for something that's not allowed in their current zoning district. And so they want to move their property into a zoning district that would allow for the use that they want to do there. So you'd see this technique used where a land use might not be necessarily favored within the community. So some examples of potential disfavored types of uses would be maybe self-storage or gas stations or used car sales, apartments, or other more intense uses. And as you'll see in part two to this, there's also the potential to try and use this for a dragway or a speedway or like a racing type use. So in this type of situation, applicant wants the use approved, knows that they might have a hard time getting it through the local approval process. So what the applicant is going to do, the landowner, is they're going to voluntarily propose certain conditions on their use of the property that are then going to be binding if the city, township, or village ends up agreeing to the rezoning. So you could see this in the form of additional green space or potential improvements to the landscaping or commitments to certain types of building materials that wouldn't otherwise be required. You might also see it in terms of future land use restrictions. So in the case of, you wouldn't want certain types of uses that would otherwise be allowed in that district. So if you ever sell the property in the future, you don't have to worry so much about the new person that buys it coming in and using it for something that's not going to be quite favored in that area. This is a very interesting tool, probably not very commonly used, sees very little court action. I'm not really aware of any meaningful court cases that have interpreted this until the case of Jostock versus Mayfield Township, which was a huge case from the Michigan Supreme Court in the world of conditional rezonings. And so I think that the decision was probably a common sense type of decision, but you're going to have to wait until the next part of this video in order to see what happened in that case and to kind of flesh out the particulars of it. So stay tuned, folks, or tune back in, and you can hear my talk on Jostock versus Mayfield Township.